Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. So first I'd like to thank you for your patience as we make the slow transition into Link format. I know playing without Link monsters but around Master Rule 4 makes for some clunky games, which is why we've been playing some clunky decks. One such clunky deck is a Paleozoic build all the way from the OCG, which has removed the frog engine from its main deck for Ojamas? I'll take any excuse to play my favorite speedoed weirdos, so let's jump into deck edit and see what we're playing. So here's the list. Now right off the bat, I'm sure you'll notice some oddities, but don't worry. As always, I'll give you a little bit of background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and as always, the card by card. So firstly, we've got two archetypes smashed together in this one. Now Paleozoic should need no introduction by now, since you can't go to a locals anywhere on Earth without watching some lunatic with 5 set cards go into time game 1. These trap monsters are good at disruption and better at summoning Totally Awesome, which makes them a beautiful pair for the frog engine. This deck, however, has eschewed the entire frog engine to play some other spammy rank 2 cards, Ojamas. Now, Ojamas are an archetype of useless on-purpose beast-type monsters supported by cards like Ojama Magic that plus them to infinity, and cards like Ojama Trio that summon tokens to your opponent's side of the board. Unfortunately, advantage doesn't mean a lot when you're just adding more garbage to your hand, and aside from just desserts plays and chain burn, their zone-eating effects aren't very powerful either. So, how do these two archetypes play together? Well, it's all thanks to a new card, Ojama Duo. Now, this card is the retrained counterpart to the currently semi-limited Ojama Trio. It summons 2 tokens to your opponent's side of the field on activation, then can be banished from grave any other turn to summon 2 Ojamas with different names from your deck. Now, in a rank 2 spam deck, this effect is really good. It enables link plays as well. If we had access to Decode Talker, we'd only be 1 monster off of a single activation. We're going to try to mill this with Morella, grab some Ojamas, and make some rank 2s. Now, unfortunately, this is going to make it a little harder to go into Totally Awesome, since they aren't Aqua type, but it'll make it much easier for us to just dip into the rank 2 toolbox. With options like Ronin Raccoon Sandayu, Daigusto Phoenix, and the Phantom Knights of Cursed Javelin doing his best impression of Totally Awesome, we might just be able to pull this off. So, let's get on to the card by card. First, we have our lovely waifu Ojama Yellow, and just beautiful. I don't want to play any of the vanilla Ojama, but it's very possible that we draw into, say, 2 blues, for example, and still want to get mileage out of our duos. 3 copies of Ojama Red. This helps you unbrick hands with multiple Ojama by allowing you to special summon them in attack position when this card is normal summoned. And of course, 3 copies of Ojama Blue. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can add 2 Ojamas from your deck to your hand. A very powerful, advantageous effect that you can ensure you will never get off. Next is our single spells, 3 copies of Foolish Burial with Belongings. We really want to get our Ojama Duo engraved. Said card is next. Duo itself. It summons 2 Ojama tokens to your opponent's side of the board with 1,000 defense each. These tokens deal 300 damage when they are destroyed, and during either player's turn, except the one it was sent, you can banish it to summon 2 different Ojama from your deck. Next are our Paleos. 2 copies of Pakaya, my least favorite, the draw spell, but we're maxed out on almost every other Paleo, so I've liked it well enough. 3 copies of Oleanades, which destroys spells or traps. 2 copies of Leoncolia, which can recycle our Ojama Duo. This card is absolutely the nut in this deck, much better than it is in normal. 3 copies of Dino Misculus, I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, the Karma Cut. It's good at binning garbage like extra Ojamas or the duo itself in a pinch. 3 copies of Canadia, the Book of Moon, and 3 copies of Morella, the Foolish Burial Goods. Thankfully, we don't have to mess with Hallucigenica, so at least we get to play the good ones. After that are our plain old good traps. We have 1 copy of Imperial Order, which just completely steals games. 2 copies of the Phantom Knights of Lost Vambrance, which sets up Paleo plays since we can't special frogs, and makes Cursed Javelin. 3 copies of Quaking as our Mirror Force of choice, 1 Lost Wind to send off Morella in a pinch, 1 Ring of Destruction to actually end the game at some point, and of course, these Solemn Boys. In the extra, we have 2 copies of Anomaly Karis and 2 Opabinia. We actually go into these more often than anything else since they are not restrictive on summoning conditions. 2 copies of Totally Awesome. It's still good if we can ever make it. I certainly want to. 2 copies of Cursed Javelin are towed if we draw Lost Vambridge, and our one-ofs. 1 copy of Crumble Logos, 1 copy of Skycav, 1 copy of Daigusto Phoenix, 1 Ronin Raccoon Sandayu, 1 Cat Shark, 1 Dark Mist, and 1 Utopic Future. These all serve a special role in the extra deck, and they would all be gone in a heartbeat if we had access to Link monsters. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Shirinui Zombies, a deck that asks its pilot, are you a skilled enough duelist to draw Solitaire? We've opened very well. We have a copy of Ojama Duo. I don't like to see it in my opener, but I'd prefer to have it here than nowhere at all. A copy of Lincolnia, so we can recur the duo twice in one turn, play the baiting game a little bit. A Lost Vambrance, which enables all of our Paleozoic plays and gives us access to Cursed Javelin. A Canadia to interrupt our opponent, and the Ring of Destruction is basically just the icing on the cake. We're going to set 5 and dare our opponent to do anything. They're going to start by activating this Allure of Darkness, banishing this Zombie Master they just drew, and finding their way to a Solitaire. Immediately we'll Canadia it, and then in end phase we'll activate Ojama Duo. I'm putting him on Swallow Slash. I know these decks do play it occasionally, so I figure I might as well go into something with a quick effect. We'll go ahead and banish this Duo from graveyard to get 2 copies of Ojama cards, go into Anomaly's Karis. It is in fact Swallow Slash, so we'll destroy one of these Ojama tokens, do 300 points of damage to our opponent, use Lincolnia to return Duo to graveyard, and we should be off to the races afterwards. We'll banish Duo once again for a blue and a red, then we'll flip a Vambrance in order to target one of the tokens and get back our Canadia. That allows us to go into a Phantom Knights of Cursed Javelin and do 1600 points of damage to our opponent, along with a 300 burn from destroying the token. We also set this copy of Foolish Burial with Belongings, I think just to bluff, but I'm a little on positive tilt now. I definitely get punished for it. When he gets back the Solitaire with the Book of Life, we'll flip Ring of Destruction and get another Paleozoic to put in a little more beats. When they activate the Spirit Master, we'll go ahead and negate it with our Cursed Javelin. We still have 1 negate remaining, which is sweet. We'll go ahead and activate this Foolish Burial with Belongings now. We did get punished a little bit by drawing Dimostulus, but we do get in for a fair amount of damage here. We should be able to kill him next turn, even if our set card does absolutely nothing. They get another copy of Solitaire, but once they go into Unizombie, we will just negate it. Remember, sending is not a cost, so it really can't do anything. After he ends his turn, he will just concede. Our second match is up against Fluffals, and this is about as bricky as hands get in this deck, but just like in normal Paleo, brick hands can be very good if they contain powerful floodgates. We get to go first as well, which is very good. It means we're going to activate this Foolish Burial Goods to send a copy of Ojama Duo to hand, then set 3 cards and pass it back. Our opponent is going to start by normal summoning Fluffal Dog. We can't do a lot about that. They'll use Bear to get a Toy Vendor, and when they flip that up, I will flip Imperial Order, and now we are playing the Imperial Order game where I try not to kill myself off of its standby phase effect. They're going to try and destroy their Toy Vendor with Wings. We'll go ahead and banish it in response, which is pretty sweet. They go into Sheep, returning the Dog for a chain, setting up just the wall so that I can't get in for life points, trying to drain me. I am at 5,600. We'll use Vambrance and get back a Dimostulus. Then we'll banish Duo to get a couple copies of Ojamas. I'm not particularly interested in leaving any of these monsters on the field, especially since they're all in defense mode, so we'll just start getting in the beats now and using 4 materials for our Anomaly Care so we can guarantee we can do it every end phase for the rest of the game. Our opponent's going to set 3. We're going to destroy the monster and hope that he's not playing any battle traps. I assume that they're just bluffs given the density of spells in his deck. We draw Morella, which is one of the better cards in our deck at this point because it triggers Anomaly Caris' effect. Our opponent draws Hot Nothing once again, sets 1 card that will destroy during end phase, then we'll activate Morella to get back Dimostulus. This, of course, triggers the Anomaly Caris effect, and after we've sent a copy of Ojama Duo, we draw into Canadia, which is really, really great. We're going to take another 700 and get in for 24 and 12, putting him on a 2,000 damage life point total. Our opponent is going to draw into another dog, summon it, get a copy of Owl, go into battle phase, immediately get Canadia, we'll get back the Morella, and this is really all she wrote. During our draw phase, we're going to do what we can, destroy this set monster that we know is dog, hope that he can't get over anything we intend to do, and attack for lethal. Alright, we'll play against meta. Our third game is up against True Draco, a classically bad matchup for Paleozoic. They can use their monsters to sneak in between our Paleo triggers, which means we will never get one out of the graveyard. We've also drawn a couple of cards that are really bad in this matchup. Lost Wind, Solemn Strike, kind of underwhelming. The Morella sending a copy of Ojama Duo might be good, but that's really all we're relying on. We're going to go ahead and set 5. Thankfully, we are going first, but unfortunately, we don't have an Oleanades for the impending Dragonic Diagram. Our opponent's going to Terraforming Force said diagram, then use True Draco Succession, destroy it for another one, destroy our middle card, which thankfully we can chain. We'll send an Ojama Duo. They'll use True Draco Succession number 2 to tribute summon over an Apocalypse for a Knuckles. Then they'll use a Pot of Desires, set a couple cards, attack, get Quakinged, use its effect, and go face down. So maybe we can make this work. That is until he finds a Masterpiece off of the Duality and tributes for it. Now this Masterpiece is on Trap and Monster, which is our entire deck. I don't think we have a single card that outs it. When we use the Ojama Duo to add Insult to Injury, we get Ghost Ashed. So at this point the game is completely over. We'll activate Canadia on the Masterpiece that's unaffected just to get an extra blocker, but really that's not going to save us. Our opponent has a Card of Demise in hand, so we'll draw a whole bunch of cards, go ahead and destroy our last remaining cards on board, attack over our last remaining monster, and leave us with nothing. We draw into a A Dimostulus of all things, maybe one of the very few cards we can't even possibly activate in a perfect world. Our opponent will Ethereal Wurmterfell. We'll use the effect of Paleozoic Dimostulus Engrave, which allows him to get an Ignis Heat and immediately go into a Knuckles. He'll attack for 3250, for 2800, and for 2700. So we're back with the deck. Bad beats that last game, but that's true, Draco. I'm intrigued by this deck. I don't think it's great yet, and I think the thing preventing it from being great is the lack of link monsters. I don't just mean on Percy. I mean the lack of link monsters in general. Sure, it's fantastic at summoning like 4 guys at once, but aside from a Decode Talker or a Firewall Dragon, what are you actually going into? Once we get a bunch of link monsters with kick-ass quick effects, and trust me, they are coming, I think this actually may become the dominant build of Paleozoics, but until then, you're probably better off just making one lonely tree toad in your extra monster zone. Still, fun to have a home for Ojama at last. So that's that. Next time we'll be jumping over to Dawn of a New Era since they have link support. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/monobluetron from 10 to midnight Eastern Standard Time every Monday and Thursday. Links are in the description. And if you want to see a certain deck or archetype played on a future episode of this show, let me know in the comment section below and I will take a look. Otherwise, I'll see you Sunday.